That's a little something called What If I Kissed You? Oh, gosh, not right now. Hey, we've got about 20 minutes or so before the top of the hour right here on Penn's Peak Radio. And, real quick reminder, let's take just a quick peek at that forecast, real quick. So today, rainy, tomorrow, nice, Friday, rainy, and then beautiful for the next 7 days. How's that for a forecast? I like it. All right. Now that that's done, let's get down to the real business of the show. This is wall-to-wall country here on Penn's Peak Radio, and, we're always pleasured and honored to have different kinds of artists from different caliber, different backgrounds, all kinds of stuff, and it's so exciting on either spectrum, whether they're a seasoned artist or they're brand new or they got music out or they don't, to have them on the show and hear a little story about what's going on with these people, and I always love the backstories too. But we're going to find out about a guy that's got some music out there right now, has a unique background. We're going to talk to him and find out all about him, plus listen to some of his music. We've got a guy on board by the name of Phillip Broussard. Am I selling that correctly, Phillip?
Yeah, that's perfect.
Awesome. How are you?
I'm doing great. It's a beautiful day up here in Seattle.
Oh, that's right. You're up. Oh, that's right. That's where you guys, I forgot. I was thinking you were in Nashville, but you're not. You're in Washington State.
I am. Yeah, the Pacific Northwest. Yeah.
Yeah. You probably know a friend of mine. Her name is Robin. She lives over there in Gig Harbor.
Actually, I grew up in that area.
Oh, really?
Maybe you could ask her. We're off the air. You could tell me her last name. I could figure out if we know her, because I went to high school out there.
Okay. No, well, she went to high school in Florida, but she lives out there now.
Oh, okay. Well, probably not then.
Yeah. Well, Gig Harbor is actually not that big, so, it's a cute little town out there.
Indeed.
So awesome. So that's why you said 11. I was thinking 11? No, it should only be 1:30, but you're 3 hours back there. So, yeah, you still are having your second cup of coffee. Awesome. Awesome. All right, Phillip. Well, let's get down to business, shall we? We have a little bit of information about you that your father was a big inspiration, and a guitar was the reason why you got into doing what you're doing. But why don't you give us a little background before we get into the music of today and where you're at now? I always like to hear that backstory about how music got there. Like, were you born with it or did it come along the way? I always love those backstories. So, Phillip, why don't you tell us a little bit of history about who you are and where you came from?
Yeah, so I grew up in a really small rural town called Belfair, Washington. And it's, there's not a lot to do out there. At least there wasn't when I was growing up. My grandfather drove his tractor to the feed store down the road and on the road itself. So, that's kind of where I came from. Musically, it's I've had an influence in music ever since I was little. Ever since I can remember, I've had either a relative singing to me or encouraging me to sing, places like church and in the car and things like that. And so, I really think it was just one of those things I was born with. Music has just been kind of a passion ever since I was little.
Awesome. Now, how did you get to taking those steps, though, to actually thinking about using it as a career or something you were going to really pursue pretty significantly?
Well, for me, there's the old adage that life is too short to not do what you love, and so once I got out of the military, I just wanted to kind of I wanted to exercise the creative side a little bit. I was still struggling. I lost my dad when I was 18, and I was still grieving in certain regards, and music was a great outlet for that. It helped me get through, some dark periods, and I figured if I could write music that maybe help other people get through some dark periods, then that's then I've accomplished something, and that's what I want. I just want to live a life that's it's service to others, and have something out there that gives people hope, I suppose.
That's awesome. Now, you have some interesting influences, people that kind of came down through your dad, and they're not all country.
No, they're not. Yeah, I had some country artists growing up. George Strait was one of them. I mean, who can't love George Strait?
Right, of course.
But Elvis Presley gospel was what we were listening to on the way to church in the mornings.
Mm-hmm.
Some Simon and Garfunkel on the way home, and then I'd get home and my dad would put on Queen. So it's just like, it was hard to get a footing as to what genre I liked the best, so I figured I'd adopt them all.
Okay. But how did you get down the path of country now, like the avenue that you're going with your new music?
Well, it's interesting because I've actually never considered myself a country artist. I love country music, and I grew up playing blues guitar, and blues is kind of the root of all music, and so some of my favorite artists now are country artists. I really like the Keith Urbans and the Brad Paisleys and the Chris Stapletons, and there's definitely some blues root in that song Tennessee Whiskey, and so I feel like if you are talking about certain experiences growing up, especially if you grew up in a small town, I think you can relatively easily find a country influence there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Now, you also have a background in business. So are you one of those artists who are pretty much overseeing, if not pretty much taking care of a lot of that end of it? Because this is always like one of those conversations. There's several conversations that I have with multiple artists, and this is always one of them. The advantages or disadvantages of having that kind of background to pay attention. I mean, it's all about playing the songs and reaching people and this and that and the other thing, but it's also a business, and I think certain artists may get lost because of that side of it.
Yeah, so that's the least appetizing side of the music industry. So there's all kinds of wheels that you have to grease in order to get different things accomplished in any industry, and music's no different. So my business background, I have a degree in finance from the University of Washington in Seattle. Mm-hmm. And so I have a formal education in business, and I've run multiple businesses, and I can say it's the least fun aspect of being a musical artist, but it's the most important aspect of being a musical artist if you want to be a musical artist full time. Mm-hmm. You have to sell merchandise. You have to sell yourself, most importantly. So everything is important. There's so many music artists that I talk to that brag about the fact that they don't advertise, or brag about the fact that they just don't put themselves out there, and I'm sitting here saying, that's fine and all, and that's great on principle, but you'll never be known outside of your local influence there if you're not actively marketing yourself and actively marketing your music, because it's the only way anybody knows about anything is that there's some type of marketing device that's put out there.
Right.
And I have fans in Iowa, Texas, Florida that have reached out to me saying they love my music, and the only reason they heard about it is because I was advertising through mediums like Facebook and YouTube.
Yeah. Well, it's almost kind of like, and you don't want to insult those particular people or artists or whatever, but it's so easy on one hand to do that now versus what it was years ago when you didn't have those platforms. When you were the person that the only time you ever got to hear someone's music was either on the radio, or if you managed to get to a show, you didn't have all the platforms you have now, much less the communication. You can talk to your fans no matter where they are in the world with the platform. So it only seems to make sense to use those platforms at the maximum to get your name and your music out there. I don't understand why someone wouldn't want to. Exactly.
Well, and one of the best examples of this is Pearl Jam. One of my all-time favorite bands. I love them. They're just great. And of course, they're from Seattle too, so there's a little bit of hometown bias there. But it's they actively fought their own fame for quite some time, and but they still ended up just behemoths in the music world. And so I feel like there are avenues that people can take that can net something for them if they do have that mentality. But I think more often than not, you really need to be out there. And there are people, that would love to hear your music that won't, because you're not actively
getting it out there,
trying to get it out there to them. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, yeah, there's people all the time, with that ear for the new music or ear for the recent most recent artist that's out there, or somebody, and I mean, and it's also kind of out of respect. If you're going to go through all that trouble of trying to become in front of your audience and your fans and all that, they're going to respond to that too. They want, and I mean, I hate to use the word, you're going to have to work for it, but you're going to have to work for it. It's not going to just come to you if you don't get your music out there. You know what I mean?
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah. So, and like I said, I've had this conversation, and, I've had artists too who are like, well, I got people who handle that and they take care of all that. But I still think even if you may not have a degree, I think you kind of like have to have one eyeball on that aspect, even if it's a little bit, to kind of see how you're being managed and how your finances and how your marketing is going, and have that a little bit, I mean, there are artists too that I've spoken to, bigger artists, that they wouldn't need to. They don't have to worry about what their album cover works like. They don't have, because they're already out there, but they always like to have that finger still in there going, hey, let me know when you're going to do this, or let me know when we're going to do that. And I want to see it before it gets out there. I want to make sure I know what kind of product I'm putting out there. And I think that's admirable for those bigger guys who have, oh my God, 50,000 people working for them, but they still want to be a part of that. And I think that's an excellent quality.
I agree with you 100%. Absolutely.
And I think it's important, and that's probably a good piece of advice for any new artist that's out there. You always get the, be true to yourself, be you, and all that kind of stuff. But like you said, it's a tough part of the business, but it's a necessity, and it's something that you should kind of keep an eye on it as well.
Well, and you can't pay your mortgage on principle either.
Right.
There is a realistic aspect to this, and it's money is required to survive. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm not all about the money.
No.
All about this and that.
The fact of the matter is you got to pay your bills.
You got to pay your bills, and if you want to pay your bills as a musician, you have to figure out a way to market yourself.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, it's not, I would never even think about, it's all about, the money and being a star and being all that kind of stuff. But, like you said, no matter what job you take, it's about, making you the best candidate for that position, and working it so that it's going to help you live your life, and
couldn't have said it better myself.
It doesn't matter what the job is. You're an entertainer. I'm a disc jockey. I still got to make sure I pay my bills too. You know what I'm saying? Let's get a little bit. Okay, so we know, you're out there pursuing your passion. You're out there pursuing your music. You're out there doing some things, and you're pushing it as far as actually making what you need as far as those rungs on a ladder, so to speak, to get an album out there. Tell us about that process and how you got to the album of Wavelength.
So putting out an album it's a balance between budget and creativity. So, this is where the money thing comes in again. But, my EP was originally going to have 6 songs, and, the unfortunate aspect is budget requirements had me cut it down to 5. But the process was, for me, write 30 songs and pick your 5 favorite. And that's what I did. Okay. And so laid down the tracks, and what I originally thought they were going to be became something entirely different on the other side, after we had mixed everything. And I was really happy with the final product. It's just one of those things that, you get into the process, you're expecting it to go a certain way, and it goes a different way, and you can be pleasantly surprised, you can be horrified, and I was pleasantly surprised. The guy that does my recording, his name is Dylan. He's just a magician when it comes to music. There was certain areas where I messed up on the recording, and he was able to fix them and make it sound like it never even happened. So I got to give him props.
All right. Okay. Now this is a 5 EP. Is this an EP or is this an actual CD?
No, it's an EP.
Okay. 5 tracks on it, and it's called Wavelength. That's the name of the EP. During the interviews, I like to feature a couple of the tunes 3 usually. We need to take a quick break here in a second. If you can hang in there, Phillip, what I'd like to do is come back with one of the tunes off the EP to give people a listen to what you sound like, and then we're going to chat a little bit more. Can you hang on there for just a bit?
Absolutely.
All right. What song do you want to introduce my listening audience to Phillip Broussard? What song would you like me to feature off this album?
I think the song "Best Friend" is probably fitting for this audience.
Now,
it's a slower song, but it describes the feeling of loss over somebody, and I think that's an important thing to deal with.
Now, you penned all 5 songs on this EP.
I did.
Okay. And are all of them from personal experience?
Yes.
Okay. So this best friend is drawing on some emotions of some sort of loss in your life. And this is where you're getting these the inspirations for all 5 songs?
Yes.
Okay.
Best Friend was about losing my dad.
Okay. All right. Well, we're going to play that in just a minute. We got to take a quick break. Phillip's going to hang in there. We're going to talk more with Phillip Broussard. Now, remember, you guys can find this guy. We're going to talk about how you can find him on Facebook and Twitter and the connectivity, which we spoke on a little bit earlier, how you can get your hands on this EP and his music in just a bit. But first, we got to take a quick break. Phillip is going to hang in there. We're going to be back with more Phillip Broussard, wall-to-wall country, and some of his music, a tune off his 5-tune EP. It's called Wavelength, a little something called Best Friend, in just a minute. Don't go anywhere. And we're back with Phillip Broussard, a little tune back there from his brand new EP, Wavelength, a little something called My Best Friend. And you're right, it's kind of like a little bit of a tearjerker, reminding people to say what's important while you can,
Yeah.
Truly.
Yeah, I've lost quite a few people in my life, and the chance never comes once people are gone.
Yeah. Kind of a missed point, for sure. So, you've struggled through some things. You have some scars. You're bringing that out in your music. You can feel it. You can tell that it's coming from somewhere deep inside. All 5 tunes on the EP, are they all kind of in that same tone, in that same kind of place, coming from the same kind of place?
No, there's some happier ones. I think that's actually why I named it Wavelength, is because I picture a sine wave in my head. You've got up and down,
Mm-hmm.
and I think there's something on there for everybody.
Cool. Well, we're going to feature another tune here in just a little bit at the end of the interview. And then I like to feature one at the end of my show, because this whole thing gets recorded and played back Sunday morning. If anybody missed it today, they have the opportunity to listen on Sunday. So you can tell your fans about that, too, if they missed the interview today.
Okay.
And I like to close out the show with a song, too, to remind people how you sound, and if to kind of remember, hey, if you missed any of the earlier stuff, listen in. But we touched on it a little bit earlier, and connectivity, and kind of making sure you're doing some things for your fans and reaching out to them and getting them to hear you. You on the social medias, what's some of the ways that your fans can reach out to you, here in the East, if they want to, hey, get some more Phillip Broussard music and things like that? What's some of the best ways, Phillip?
So Facebook is the best way. I'm not like always on Facebook, but I do respond to people when they message me on there.
Mm-hmm.
You can find me on YouTube. I do post videos occasionally. I've got another single coming out we're releasing another single off Wavelength, the song All Over Again.
Okay.
And we're going to be releasing that as a single here shortly, and I'm going to record a special acoustic video of it, and that's going to be out there for people to see and watch, and that's going to be probably out here within the next couple weeks. And but yeah, you find me on Facebook. I've never tweeted. That's just not my thing. I've tried to get into it. I really have, and it's just, I think the only the only tweet I think I ever put was just I reposted something from Reddit that I've never actually seen, like a wild hamster.
Okay.
So it's just kind of one of those passing thoughts. That's my only tweet, and that's probably my only tweet that will be.
Okay. Do you have a website, someplace they can track you down that way?
I own a domain name. I'm putting together a website right now.
Okay.
It's been a little while in the making, just mainly because I've had other things going on that have been a little bit more pressing. So that website is coming along, and hoping to publish it within the next month or so.
What is the name on Facebook for people to search you?
Yeah, they can just search me via my full name, Phillip Broussard, and you can find me. I've got a fan page there, and any messages that come to me come through there.
Okay, all right. I'm just trying to find it here, real quick. Oh, there you are. I think that's you. I think. Yeah, that's you right there. Look at that. Add as a friend. I am friending you, my friend. Awesome.
I'll get a notification on my phone.
Yeah. So now I know you also have a business and you're kind of multifaceted as far as things that you're doing in your life and that. But you getting out there as far as trying to do some shows, where can people find that information if you're going to be out performing somewhere? Yeah,
so I post events regularly on my Facebook fan page.
Okay.
We're playing a house concert here coming up. That's going to be a nice, intimate affair between 25 and 30 people. But yeah, so I know one of the guys that I've been playing with up in Seattle. He actually just recently opened for Wyclef Jean and up at the Showbox. So that's definitely something that's on my radar here within the next couple months.
Okay. Now the song.
So, all those events will be posted.
Okay. Okay, and you're pretty much staying in Washington for now. I guess I would think there's plans to expand. Are you doing some shows outside of Washington State?
Eventually, yeah. I just don't want to do that too quickly. I went and I saw Philip Phillips in concert not too long ago, and there was a band that opened for him called the Ballroom Thieves, and they were just fantastic. And I had a chance to converse with some of them after their set,
mm-hmm.
and they were telling me, they were giving me some advice about how to go about it and everything. And they made the mistake of touring out too quickly, and they lost a whole bunch of money. Like not just like $1,000, like tens of thousands of
wow.
Touring. So you don't want to do that too quickly. You want to make sure that you have enough people coming to see you that it's not a losing venture. Well,
and there's that business smarts of behind the scenes thing that you have that, other bands or other artists may not have, when you're sitting there and you're going, is it going to make sense for me to do this?
Right.
It can't just be like, oh, I just want to get out on the road and I want to perform in front of people. But if nobody knows you're coming or, it ends up not being a substantial move, then again, you got to keep that in the back of your brain as far as, like you say, you can't jump off the wagon too quick. You got to let it take its time and go through its paces. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah.
Good stuff.
There's definitely a right way and a wrong way to go about it.
Right. Now, you had mentioned, is Best Friend out? Is that one of the ones that you have had out as a single, or is that one still kind of like under wraps as far as this EP is concerned?
It's just on the EP. Yeah, it's not out by itself as a single.
Okay. All right. So now you said you're doing some videos for these. Is this something people can find on your Facebook page when they're done? They
do get posted on there. But yeah, search it. It's easier to search through YouTube and find them that way.
Oh, okay. Okay. So they can become a subscriber to your YouTube channel and get notifications of your stuff.
People should do that. Yeah, everybody out there should just immediately drop what they're doing. Even if they're like in labor having a baby, go out, follow me, and subscribe to me on YouTube and Facebook.
Oh, you're funny. Okay. So let's continue with some of the music that you have on the EP. I mentioned I'd like to close out the interview with another one of the songs on. Is this your first EP?
This is my first EP, but it's my second kind of album. I put out an album quite a few years ago.
Okay.
With that was mostly for charity. It didn't go anywhere, and the record label went out of business.
Oh, okay. But this is
impossible to find.
What's that? It's impossible to find?
So it's impossible to find, yeah.
Okay. Okay, so let's call this one like the real thing, the real deal.
It's the real deal.
So at the when we're all done chatting here, I don't want to keep you too much longer, but when we're done chatting here, what would be a good song one to end the interview and then one at the end of my show to remind people to listen in on Sunday? What would be your suggestions of a good portrayal of Phillip Broussard? We heard the heartstrings, tagging on those words of advice, best friend, reminding people to don't wait for tomorrow, do what you need to do today to make the difference. Give me two other ones.
So I would probably finish everything out with All Over Again. That's the next single that's coming out.
Oh, okay. All right.
Then I would probably, the next song I would play, the song you would close it out with would be All Over Again. Then the next song I would play is probably Just Want to Believe.
All right, give us a little background. Now, All Over Again is going to come up in just a little bit at the end of our chat. Tell us a little bit about knowing that you'd penned these and they're your inspiration. I always like to hear the backstory of each song. Tell us a little bit about All Over Again.
So All Over Again is just about, letting somebody go and then having them come back. It's like setting that bird free and then it flies back in the window, sort of thing. And that's what it is. It's just about, losing somebody, thinking they're going to be gone forever, and then they come back.
Nice. Yeah. Awesome. And when we close out the show, we're going to do Just Want to Believe.
Actually, swap those. Yeah, Just Want to Believe would be the next song you should play, and then All Over Again would be the final one.
Okay, tell us about Just Want to Believe.
Now, that song's a complete opposite. That's about telling somebody they're toxic. And
you don't pull any punches, do you?
No, I don't. And then just kind of crying out that, that they need to be there for you, and if they're not there,
here's the door. Don't let it hit you in the ass.
Yeah, sure, exactly.
So I think what you're trying to tell me is you're right when you say there's a little something for everybody, even though there is only 5 songs. Each song has its own journey. It has its own story. It has its own message. And people can relate to each and every tune on a different level.
That's exactly what I was trying to say. Yeah.
I'm just trying to help you out.
You're awesome.
Awesome. Well, I think you're awesome, and I think this is going to be amazing. I'm looking forward to it, and I see, you do have information on your Facebook page about some of your music, including this one from Michael, about the Just Want to Believe tune. Now, you said All Over Again is actually going to be the next single, though, right?
Yes.
Okay. But people can track you down. And I just want to make sure people know that your name is spelled with 2 L's in Phillip, and it's the last name. Yeah, is Broussard. So it's important to spell it correctly to find you on Facebook. And then you're going to make the announcements once you have that website all up and working correctly.
Absolutely. Yeah, there will be merchandise under purchase. T-shirts and what have you, vinyl albums, and things like that. So,
awesome.
And it'll also have tour dates and things like that to keep in touch.
That would be great. Are you finding people are reaching out to you through Facebook? Finding when people do find you to say, hey, and becoming your friends and hanging out with you a little bit and relating to your music?
There's some of that. There's some weird messages I get that maybe have some sexual overtones to them, but those are readily and easily ignored. There's some really nice messages I get. My birthday was yesterday.
Aww.
So I had a lot of people reaching out saying happy birthday, and that was nice. It was really nice to see.
Well, happy belated birthday, for sure.
Thank you so much.
And your birthday gift is hopefully getting some great fans here on the East Coast via Penn Speak Radio. And, well, of course, we're global, so it doesn't matter. You might find friends coming from you from all over the place. So,
That's cool.
yeah. So, I think what it is you're doing it the right way. I think, Phillip, you're not rushing things, and I think that is a mistake that's made by a lot of artists. They want to jump to the prize, and they forget that it takes work to get there. And it takes.
Well, we've got a lot of weird TV shows out there that tell you if you just audition for some famous people, you can accomplish that dream in less than a heartbeat.
Yeah. Yeah.
It isn't the way it is, and most people on there fail anyway. So.
Yeah. Well, it's, and they got to, the bottom line is you got to work for what you want. You got to really,
right.
I guess there's people out there who get it handed to them, and good for them, yay. But the rest of us have to get up and put our pants on every day and go out and drudge through the mud. And every once in a while you get that shiny coin that kind of comes through. And that's the inspiration to keep going and doing what you do and doing what you love and being, then you get into being the true for yourself. If you want to be a musician and you go out there for that dream, but you got to be smart. You just got to be smart about it, especially in today. I mean, with today's social medias, there's an artist around every single corner on every Facebook page. There's an artist here, and and those shows, Good, Bad, or Indifferent, is one of those shows that show the fact that there are a lot of people out there who are all going for that same coin, and there's some stiff competition out there.
There's a lot of stiff competition out there, But the beauty of music is it's not a zero-sum game, because you can. One person can get someone to like their music, and that's not the only music that they'll like.
Mm-hmm.
I just because I like Elvis Presley doesn't mean I can't like Queen.
Right.
And that's the beauty of music. It's not a zero-sum game. So you can go out there and, let's say, for instance, there's a fan that just loves Justin Bieber. You may play country music, and this other person may not really like country music, but you may have something that they might like. So there's no end to the fans you can have. And there's 7 billion people in this world. I guarantee you, if you have, a good sound and you are really passionate about music, you can persuade some of them to come to a show. You can persuade some of them to listen to you. Mm-hmm. I did it. I never thought I would, but I did.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, it sounds like you're very, very grounded. You know what you're looking for. You know what you want. You're going about it the right way. So kudos to you for being smart about what you're trying to accomplish and all that. And your music is great, and you're going to have a following, and I think you're going to do really, really well. One last quick question, and then I'm going to cut you loose. You're a singer, songwriter, performer. Do you find that there's one that outweighs the other as far as singer or songwriter, performer or songwriter? Do you think your future is performing or writing, or it's just an even playing field across the board?
I think in order to stay true to yourself as a musician, you have to maintain some kind of artistic integrity, and part of that is putting your own thoughts down, putting your own music out there. And there's a lot of people. Keith Urban is one of my favorite artists, but he doesn't write most of his own music, and and that's there's nothing wrong with that, but there is part of it that's not necessarily his. You know what I mean? And so that's not to bag on him at all. I think he's a fantastic artist. He's an amazing guitar player, and he's incredibly talented in every facet. That's just, I want to write my own music. That's all.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah. So, and I think there might be also a little bit better understanding of a tune when you're trying to perform it, if you know where it came from.
I agree with that.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you're going to take on someone else's song. You're going to fit it to your interpretation of it. And it may or may not have been written that way, but when you're writing it and you're performing it, it's a true song from beginning to end. The whole book is there. So
I agree.
Nice stuff there. Well, Phillip, I want to thank you for calling into the show today and being being a bright star in my afternoon.
Well, thank you very much.
And, I'm going to wish you best in everything that you're doing. And I'm looking forward. Please keep me in mind, keep me informed of when the website's out there so we can do that. And if you get some more new music out there, Michael knows to reach out to me. You're always welcome back on the show. If you ever do come to Pennsylvania, on the other side of the world here, the doors to Penn Peak Radio are always open to all my artists as well. So you'd be more than welcome to swing by and do an impromptu here in our studios, too. So just one of those things to keep in mind. But hey, listen, I'm going to wish you all the best with this EP and the new single that's coming out. These guys need to know that all over again. Videos coming your way, a schedule of performances coming your way, guys. Check this guy out, Phillip. That's with 2 L's in the first name, Broussard. Find him on Facebook and help build a dream with this guy because he's on fire and he's got some great music. We're going to have another one of his tunes, a little something called Just Wanna Be. Make sure you're looking for his album as well. How can they get their hands? That's something I did forget to ask you. How can they get your hands on the album Wavelength or any of your music? Is it hard copy? Is it only on the electronic platforms?
Yeah, so it's all streaming.
Okay.
You can find it on iTunes, Spotify, Google Play.
Okay.
And I think it's even on YouTube. I think we put it on there too.
Okay, so they can get your hands on it that way or reach out to you. Are you planning on doing any hard copies out there so people can...
Yeah, we're actually probably just going to put out vinyl.
Oh, wow, okay. All right.
Yeah, vinyl just does better. People really like that nostalgia. CDs, nobody uses CDs anymore. And most cars are being sold without CD players now, and so it's all streaming.
Okay, awesome. All right, and a look to the vinyl world back, making its rearing its head again into the world of music. I love it. I love it. I love it. Good job. Well, congratulations to everything you've already accomplished, Phillip. We're looking forward to hearing more from you in the future. Please do keep us in mind. And man, good luck with everything. And we're going to play 2 more of Phillip's song, one coming up right after the break, Just Want to Believe. And the new single, you guys want to be looking for this to be out there. It's a little something called All Over Again. 5 tunes on this Wavelength album, CD, EP. Find it on the electronic medias in your favorite stores. And take it easy, Phillip. Love to have you and look forward to hearing back from you.
Thank you so much.
All right. Take care, my friend.
You too. Bye.
Okay. Bye-bye.